Hello friends! Today we have a brief retelling of the 2016 comedy drama Late Flower. 27-year-old psychotherapist Peter Newman, who specializes in sex pathology, has written a popular book about the fact that making love is not a necessity, and offers a profession to his client who has a very difficult case. On top of that, Peter is thinking about a new book on a similar topic and taking notes with ideas everywhere on his pocket recorder. Upon returning home, Peter finds his friends talking and Luke in his living room. The guy gave them the keys to his apartment so that friends in severe cases at home would have a place to spend time. Luke was abandoned by his life partner Rachel, and at home everything reminds of her, and now he is in search of a new love on a dating site by phone application. Peter invites abandoned girl Luke with him to a party with the girl next door Michelle, with whom Peter is secretly in love. The guy refuses because his goal for tonight is to break the record on Tinder. Rich got tired of his wife and kids, so he just decided to spend time with his friends. Leaving friends alone and arriving at the party, Peter is met by Michelle's girlfriend, Nikki, and jokingly takes offense at the man for not bringing a lonely and handsome friend as promised earlier. Peter then meets Michelle in the kitchen tasting the dish she has prepared and advises her not to waste her talent on guests, because with her abilities it is possible to become successful in the restaurant business. A nice conversation is interrupted by a very busy guy Michelle Charlie, who can't get distracted from work even in his free time. This is very disappointing for the girl. The next day, while visiting his parents, Peter once again endured passive aggression from Father James. A man does not understand how you can write about sex without having a girlfriend, and the brand's mother, on the contrary, is proud of Peter and considers that he is a kind and good boy, while simultaneously harboring hopes that he will finally settle down. Peter later meets with his boss, Caroline. The woman happily reports that Peter's book continues to gain popularity. The psychotherapist was invited to a conference and a radio interview. Through this, Caroline and Peter will be able to express themselves and the clinic to millions of people. Before reaching the house, Peter finds the parting of Michelle and Charlie. The guy decides to substitute a friendly shoulder and console the neighbor. During the conversation, Michelle collects his thoughts and decides to become a chef. On the basis of surging emotions, she hugs Peter, after which a long-awaited kiss for the guy is born between them. Michelle apologizes, feeling guilty, and Peter leaves due to a sudden headache. The next morning, Peter's friends try to drag him out of bed to play basketball. Peter refuses due to a prolonged headache, but after the persuasion of his comrades, he agrees. On their way to the basketball court, Luke and Richie hint to Peter that he should use Michelle's breakup with Charlie to finally get going. Girlfriends Michelle and Nikki meanwhile are discussing Peter. Nikki admits that she considers the neighborhood psychotherapist to be anything but the good guy he pretends to be. And Michelle is sure that Peter is just not like all men. The girl feels safe with him, and besides, he did not use her kiss to sleep with her. For Michelle, this is a very good sign. While playing basketball, Peter gets hit in the groin with a ball and passes out. In the hospital, after the examination, the guy is informed about the presence of a tumor in the brain. It puts pressure on the pituitary gland and does not allow the body to produce testosterone, so the guy has problems with the development of the penis. To the surprise of the doctor, Peter reacts very optimistically to this news and even says that this is the best day of his life, because he always considered himself a freak and could not think that it was possible to fix everything, and now he has a chance to become healthy. Peter shared the news with friends. Those, in turn, wonder why the guy did not go to the doctor earlier. Peter admitted that he was afraid to lose hope. The guy is removed the tumor through the nose, having previously reported that he will soon begin to notice a change in himself. The operation is successful. Peter's mother conducts a spiritual ritual for her son to stimulate the male principle. After which Peter makes his first, albeit unsuccessful, attempts to get turned on by looking at magazines with girls. Peter soon visits Luke and Rich. Friends listen to the comrade's grief because he has no changes. The guys do not want to leave their friend and bring a stripper Montana. All the efforts of the girl are in vain, since Peter did not feel anything new. Peter is cheered up by Michelle, who decided to find out where the neighbor suddenly disappeared. After a short correspondence, the psychotherapist falls asleep and in the morning does not notice his changes with which he showed up to his parents. Rejoicing at what he saw, Peter runs away from home without even having breakfast, because his father advised him to score a goal against someone as soon as possible. Arriving at his home, he finds Luke with a girl, after which he kicks them out running around the house in search of something that will help them calm down. In the end, Peter manages to find cooking oil. Guys start having fun at the first opportunity. At some point, this begins to bother him, but Rich and Luke calm their friend with stories from their teenage life. A little later, Peter runs into Michelle. The girl shares the good news. She leaves Santa Barbara to take part in the cooking program. Peter is very happy for the girl and hugs her, but because of the tension, he quickly leaves the neighbor. In the clinic, it begins to seem to Peter that every woman flirts with him, and conversations with patients fail altogether, because now Peter is completely imbued with the sexual stories of his charges, which prevents him from concentrating on work. In the morning, Peter notices acne on his face, because of which he had to refuse Michelle invitations to breakfast. Having come to the doctor, Peter asks for help, because due to the too rapid process of puberty, he is angry, constantly excited and very restless. The doctor assures that maturation must be waited out and nothing can be done about it. In the evening, Michelle will drop in on Peter. The girl is sure that the neighbor began to constantly avoid her and also notes general changes in Peter's character. The guy promises to talk about everything with Michelle immediately after her return from the cooking show. While playing with his neighbor George, Peter gets a call from Michelle. She reports that she has become the favorite of the host of the culinary program, which is why Peter begins to be jealous and stops the conversation and promised to call back later. George noticed Peter's jealousy, but the man began to deny everything. The next day, during his talk on the radio, Peter can't finish his thought on the book due to strange problems with his voice. After the performance, the father reports that his voice began to break down and all this needs to be simply experienced. In the evening, during a conversation with Michelle, Peter breaks down on her after he once again heard her reviews about the host of the show and, due to an unfamiliar feeling of jealousy, asks him not to call him again. The next day, Peter takes revenge on the basketball court and, thanks to his testosterone, beats those whom the trio could not beat before. And while having dinner at a cafe with George, Peter receives advice from his underage friend. Michelle is probably an experienced girl and Peter can't screw up with her in bed, so the therapist needs to gain personal experience, which, as a result, Peter does when dating different girls from the Tinder. On the way home, Peter runs into Michelle's ex-boyfriend Charlie, who has come to apologize to his lover. Frustrated by the absence of the girl, Charlie asks Peter to tell the lady and his desire to talk to her. In the evening, Peter's thoughts on a new book are distracted by the sudden appearance of Michelle. A girl holding a bouquet of Charlie mistook it for a gift from a neighbor. Peter keeps silent about the fact that the flowers are from Charlie and mustering up the courage to invite Michelle on a date, completely forgetting about the promise to his friend Rich to sit with his children while he celebrates his wife's anniversary, with an already paid expensive room. Peter breaks his promise to spend time with Michelle and his friends fight. Before his departure, George advises Peter to be impudent as the girls like it and Peter takes instruction. Michelle did not like the guy's antics in the restaurant and she wants to see the old Peter. Having started dating anew, Rich suddenly appears in the restaurant with his wife. The table at which the couple ate was previously booked by Rich. In the course of a quarrel that began between the guys, Michelle decides to leave, not wanting to see the changed Peter. In addition, she found out that the bouquet actually belongs to Charlie. The next day, Peter succumbs to a charming client, which Caroline notices. The woman makes it clear that because of what happened, the clinic could have big problems. The guy was on the verge of being fired. Frustrated, Peter visits his father and deals with his problems. The man, wanting to support Peter, assures that everything that the guy goes through is normal. The main thing here is just how he will correct his mistakes. Peter takes the opportunity to ask a question that has worried him for most of his life. Is his father ashamed? Peter is also puzzled about the future of the conference, and his father advises telling the truth. A psychotherapist who all his life was sure that sexual energy can and should be directed to something more useful, completely refuse all his words, thereby causing a storm of applause. Appearing at Rich's daughter's birthday party, Peter apologizes to him and his wife for his behavior. Having been forgiven, Peter learns that Michelle won the cooking show. Rich's wife advises the guy to go to his beloved and apologize like a man for his actions. Peter decides to take this step and goes to Michelle's restaurant. The girl was with Charlie. Peter made an unsuccessful attempt to talk to his lover and decides to leave, but the hatch with Rich does not let Peter out until he fixes his relationship with the girl. Peter decides to tell the whole truth about his puberty and about the recent operation, because of which the man began to change dramatically. Having begun to understand everything, Michelle finally breaks up with Charlie and Peter kisses the girl. After at least a year, pregnant Michelle with Peter's parents supports the guy at the presentation of his new book. During family conversations, the girl declares that she will become the best mother in the world, and this is where the film ends. Thanks for watching to the end. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out our next video.